So I was reading some articles, some backlogged articles, because I save those from certain authors that I really like, and every once in a while I remind myself that I've got 100 articles I got to catch up on. Well, anyway, I was looking through that this week, and I ran across one on the subject of renewal. He was talking about the natural occurrence of renewal that happens in nature, and it zeroed in. The article zeroed in on the process of our bodies on the cellular level renewing, and it stated, and I've heard a little bit different than this, but this article stated that there are very few cells in your body now that you were born with. Now, I've also heard a statement that there are no cells in your body now that you were born with. So I don't know which one of those to believe, because I'm not a cellular whatever scientist. I don't know that stuff. I didn't pay that much attention in school. But either way, our bodies have been renewing themselves all along. And skin cells, skin cells, stomach lining, and red blood corpuscles all renew themselves just every few weeks. That's why when you can cut yourself a few weeks later, you can barely, you might have a little scar there, but it's healed up. It's constantly changing and healing and renewing. And if you look out at nature, you see the same thing. I don't know who might have done this, but if you're out mowing the yard and your tractor bucket is sticking out there and you're not paying attention and you slam into a tree, you see a little scar in that tree, and then a few weeks later, there's really not much evidence of it left. Nature renews itself. Now, for some reason, as I was reading this, I kept having flashbacks to my old religious upbringing where we had to go to revivals all the time. And renewal and revival, for some reason, were right there together, and I'm thinking, I know what happened at some of those revivals. It didn't click. And so how can I talk about this? So anyway, I went in and I started looking up the different, the definitions. Here is the definition that resonated with me the most on renewal. It's the process that betters existing fixed assets. The process that betters fixed assets. It's not saying that what you have in place now is bad or wrong or broken. It's saying that it's the process of making things better. I liked that. That really stuck with me. And as I was looking further, I saw the synonyms, which were regeneration, rebirth, rejuvenation, resurrection. Well, resurrection was one of those that it's like the lights went on. Okay, let's look at this. Resurrection, according to science of mind. I love this definition. Resurrection is a spiritualization of thought. It is your material beliefs yielding to spiritual truth. Okay, now we've got something here with renewal. Now we have something to talk about, because the most important renewal that we can have is the renewal of spiritual awareness. Without that natural renewal that's happening on the cellular level within us is hindered. The greatest cause of disease and illness is stress. Stress comes when our spiritual awareness is blocked or jaded in some way. So a renewal on the spiritual level is the most important thing that we can do for ourselves. And more than that, for the world. So in this article, the article was by Deepak Chopra. And in this article, he talked about the 5 principles used on the cellular level that allow this renewal to happen. And I'm thinking, okay, if we can do that on the cellular level, how do we do this on the spiritual level? How do we do this in awakening and renewing our spiritual self? So I'm using the same 5 principles that he used. Okay? These 5 principles are all based on the source of infinite intelligence that governs everything in nature. Everything. You know, this nature, you know, when we think about the material nature that we see outside these doors, that didn't just happen. There was a cause of all of that. There was a thought that inspired all of that. So even on the cellular renewal that we've been talking about, this natural renewal, there is great benefit. But we're going to help it out. We're going to help it out with the spiritual this renewal of awareness, the renewal of experience, renewal of expression. Okay? So the 5 principles are, number 1, living in the present. Okay? Deepak described that cellular renewal as the cells are present moment. They have no thoughts of the past, no thoughts of the future. It is present moment. We talk about that a lot here, and it makes a lot of sense, and it feels really good, and then life gets busy, and then all of a sudden we're not in present moment anymore. We might feel like we're in present moment trying to get going and get everything lined up, but what we're doing is we're focusing on things in the past and focusing on things that might happen in the future. And if we stop and we take a breath and we just be in present moment, we awaken to the truth that all is well. We take that breath and we rejuvenate our bodies. We relax our minds. And in this we have renewal. The next one is cooperation. Number 2, cooperation. On the cellular level, every cell cooperates with every other cell. If they did not, we wouldn't be. You know, the cells in our lungs have to cooperate with the cells in the blood, and that. I mean, just think about the network of cells that have to come together to make this body work, or to make the bodies of those trees work, the animals that we see outside, the grass, everything. Everything must cooperate. And it's not just this being. This vessel has to cooperate with other vessels. If not, there would be no groceries for me to go buy. If this vessel didn't cooperate, I could not even grow my own, because I have to cooperate with the laws of nature that allow me to put a seed in the ground and something result from that. Cooperation. But it's not just on that cellular level. It's not just me and you. We have to cooperate with the truth that is within us. If we're not seeing our truth as spiritual beings, as one with God, as the infinite intelligence that flows through us, if we're not cooperating with that, we are resisting. We are a hindrance to the flow. And we're going to talk more about flow in just a minute. Cooperation. Research on cooperation, rather, it's been shown to all of the benefits on the human level. It's been proven that a support group or a valued friend, someone that you can reach out to, is highly beneficial to our health. Our mental health, our emotional health, even our spiritual health. That includes being honest with yourself when you are When you're going through something, I usually go, when something happens in this world that doesn't align with what I think it should be, I usually go to how I messed things up. And I'll spend some time there, and it gets kind of dark. And then I go, oh, wait a minute. It's not that I messed things up, it's that I thought incorrectly about this situation. And then I can correct that. And in that, I start cooperating again with my truth. And when I cooperate with my truth, I can start seeing the beauty, the perfection of what I once thought was imperfect. Cooperation is on every level, our material level, our mental level, our emotional level, our spiritual level. It's a cooperation. And the biggest cooperation of all that we really have to tune into if we want to have this renewal is we've got to start cooperating with that little small voice that we hear inside. The voice of God, whether it be small or huge or an image or a message, however it comes to you, we have got to cooperate by listening, by hearing. It's two different things. Listening is letting your ears do something. Hearing is actually taking it in. Understanding, or at least seeking understanding, that takes it to a whole new level. And then allowing. Responding. That is cooperation with infinite source. The third part is wholeness. Wholeness is not something that we can make happen. You can do all the work in the world. You can do all the acts of kindness in the world. You can do anything you want to do. It's not going to help you with wholeness because you are already perfectly whole. Okay? We think as this body. We think of that and we try to make this whole. You know, if we've got a disease or an illness or an injury that we're fighting with, we feel like if we make that well, we're whole. We're already whole. The disease, the illness, the injury, they're just signs of an area that we have to really, we've got to do some work on, but you're already whole. So we think of this body and we think of we have to make it whole. But in the process of doing that, we start thinking of this body as individual and we forget that this body is whole with these bodies and with all of nature and with all of the world, with all of the universe. We have got to realize that wholeness is not just this physical vessel being well. We have to take it to the spiritual level and realize wholeness there, wellness there, and then that trickles down through everything else. That aids in the wellness and the wholeness of this physical being. We must identify with the higher intelligence, the higher consciousness, and we have to know that it includes us. You know, it's easy to know that there is a higher intelligence that governs all. It's so easy to know that. Just about every religion teaches that. But where they fail, in most cases, and where we fail in our understanding, in a lot of cases, is that wholeness includes us. We're not separate from that. There is no separation. It is wholeness. That's the third part of this renewal, is realizing wholeness. The fourth part is realizing immortality. Oh my God, we're immortals. Yeah, we are. Not like the movies. we're immortals and that our spirit, our truth, our essence never dies. There's a study that's been going on for years, and it's done by many, probably should say several studies going on in the science community that they can't figure out why these bodies die. You know, there's some injuries that they can, okay, yeah, that explains it. There's some illnesses that, yeah, that explains it. But for a person to die of what we call old age, they cannot explain that, because this renewal on the cellular level is constantly happening. So if it's constantly renewing itself, why are these bodies giving up? Why are they fading away? Why are they going away? So immortality is one of those things that unless you understand on the spiritual level, the wholeness that we've already talked about, the oneness, unless you understand that, immortality is kind of far-fetched. But what we can understand is that fear of death is a human creation. No other animal, no other species, no other nothing has a fear of death. When I first read that, I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute. Now I've seen a bobcat go after a squirrel out here. That squirrel's probably a little scared. It wasn't afraid of death. It doesn't even have a concept of death. It was just going for survival, just to get away from this creature that was trying to attack it. So it wasn't death that it was afraid of. We're the only ones that are afraid of death. It is through our belief that this body is our identity that fear comes from. Now, there are some teachings that say that when we get to heaven, we're going to be able to look across the room and recognize someone else in the room. And that teaching has led to people believing that these bodies are going to be what we're living in, beyond this human existence. No. We're going to recognize the oneness of everybody. We're going to be one on a level with our loved ones that have passed that we have never even dreamed of. That's immortality. So when we follow these simple principles, these principles of that we've already talked about, the ones of living in the present, cooperation, the wholeness, the fear of death starts fading away. We do realize that spiritual level of immortality. In present moment, we are merged with the field of immortality. When we stay in present moment, there is no beginning, no end. It is infinite. The things of the past do not sway. The things of the future do not sway us. We are in a moment of immortality that goes on forever. Always has been, always will be. In the present moment, knowing, we allow and experience an inner stillness. A true freedom is realized. When you are in that moment, when all is well, it matters not one iota what's going on around you. Because when you're in that present moment, when you are in that stillness, you are as free as you ever will be. That's how people like Viktor Frankl were able to be in the Nazi concentration camps and be free. And then the fifth and final part of this talk, final principle, is flow. I mentioned it earlier. We must remember that our human mind is the greatest block to flow. We will find no other thing, experience, anything in this world that will block flow more than our own mind. Our human mind feels the need to defend and protect itself. And anything that happens that is out of alignment with what we thought should be creates resistance. Our mind, instead of being open to whatever this is to see how it may serve us, immediately says, no, that's wrong. Stop. And it blocks it. We can experience flow when we practice just a few things. One is don't resist. If you feel resistance coming up, take a breath. Allow the experience. Because folks, you are powerful enough to be okay through that experience. So don't resist. When you are presented with something, pause before you say yes or no. You know, if it's something that even just that much out of kilter with what we think we should do, nope, not going to do it. I'm not saying go do it. I'm saying pause before you say either yes or no. Because in that way you can actually look at something. You can open understanding of that thing, that your initial reaction might be to say yes, but the reaction that serves you best would be to say no, or vice versa. Stay in present moment and know that all is well, because when you can do that, flow happens naturally, and you allow experiences to come in that you may block otherwise. You're already connected to the renewal process. It happens naturally. We just have to get our human minds out of the way. We have to be present. We have to remember a few things, that wholeness, that cooperation. When we remember that, when we allow the flow, we experience renewal. Because renewal is natural, we find it as we release conditional thinking. Because this all boils back down to our thinking, as everything does. How we think. So renew your thoughts, if you want to put this more available to you. Renew your thoughts. Renew your consciousness. Renew your awareness. However you want to see it. 5 simple steps, and you renew. So let's end with prayer today. Father God, excuse me, opening to your truth, opening to your omnipresence, your omnipotence, and your omniscience. We know renewal of consciousness, renewal of awareness, renewal of life experience is one of the most beautiful acts of love that you offer us, and it's offered in each moment. We open to and allow this renewal on all levels of our experience. We accept the renewal and allow it to expand our awareness of the divine power, presence, and wisdom available to us always. We embrace the truth within us that we are wholly connected to you and you to us. We embrace the knowing that you are present within. With this knowing, we release all resistance and we are open to renewal. This renewal of consciousness increases our understanding of you, our understanding of your divine promises and the truths. Knowing the increase we seek is already within, we remind ourselves we're simply opening our hearts and our minds and our understanding that we may continuously renew our awareness, our consciousness, and our experience. And for that, we are grateful. And so it is. Amen.